Okay. All right, I gotta remember that I gotta blow this up.
So we're doing the listing.
Yes, we are going to. Oh, no, the other way,
This is the residential.
Yes, we're gonna do residential first. So, not a ton of changes. You'll see on, I did give you the marked up version, so the things that are highlighted are the things where changes were made. So not a ton of changes on the exclusive right to sell, yet I'm gonna go through it with the, proper way to complete the exclusive right to sell. Some of you that have been in this class before will remember. However, a refresher is always good. When you are filling this out, the agreement is between the seller. This is the seller's proper name. So this is not Jim Wooten. It would be James Wooten because you sign your name legally as James Wooten.
Is it whatever's on the tax card,
No, it's whatever's on your driver's license.
driver's license? Okay.
Yeah.
Or the deed.
So that would have my middle name in there too,
Yeah, well, I mean, you can elect whether you put your middle name or not.
but that's not required.
It's not required,
Okay.
no. But in other words, we don't want any nicknames or pseudonyms
Yeah.
or anything like that. So Jim, in this case, we wouldn't put Sonny. We would put what Sonny's real name is.
Yeah.
Because if it's not an alias or anything that is recorded, then we don't know who Sonny is, and can Sonny legally enter into a contract? So what their formal name is, and also, you would want to put it as, like, don't put Mike and Carrie McCann. Mike McCann and wife Carrie.
Michael Dean. McCann.
Yes,
Don't need the
And-
middle.
Huh?
Don't need the middle.
you don't have to have it, but if you want to, then
Well, because Michael is such a prevalent name.
yes,
We would put D
yes.
because of that reason.
Believe it or not, there's a lot of Michael McCanns out there.
Mhm.
It's crazy. You ought to be scared.
We are.
At least Michael D.
Yes,
That's the way I signed.
if the seller is a corporation or an LLC, a trust, any type of legal entity, the entity is named as the seller. So that would be whatever the trust is. That would be SM Ward Construction, Inc.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring up an issue that we had with something like that. When we go into DocuSign,
You have to override.
okay,
The signature part.
You do, yeah. Yeah, so that is a flaw with the platform. That when you put, like, in other words, if I put SM Ward Construction, Inc., it's gonna want Scott to initial as SMWI. You have to override it to where he's signing as SMW,
Another class, okay?
not my department.
That's why I didn't ask the question.
Yes, so the seller is the entity, if it's an entity, so that's gonna come from your deed. Don't always trust the tax card, because the tax card might not be updated, they only update those once a year.
So do we need to double check with the Secretary of State to make sure that the entity is still active?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. So if it is an entity, and that is, and that's why it's on your checklist in command. There is a entity documentation that you load that articles of incorporation that shows that Karen Ward can sign for SM Moore Construction. Any questions on that? And we'll get to it later. Okay, all right, I can't, it's backwards for me. Jacks me up. I'm scrolling. We'll get to later, who signs, who the person is. Just remember, dead people can't sign agreements or contracts. Jim's like, really?
I don't know, you read off a couple of lot sales yesterday where possibly dead people tried to sign it.
Yes, yeah,
Who knows?
yeah, allegedly, yes.
Yeah.
So if it is, particularly when we talk about, trust estates, that sort of thing, that, because the question is always, well, the tax card still says the deceased name. Well, dead people can't sell property, so it has to be the POA, the executor, the trustee, whoever it is that's handling the estate and the assets. Number two, term of agreement. This must be a definitive date. It cannot be TBD. It cannot be blank. And it also needs to be a reasonable amount of time, not like 10 years. So a reasonable amount of time in which the property will sell. Residential, you know, back in the day, when I first started selling real estate, we didn't do anything except a 6 month, and we were getting extensions.
Yeah.
So you know, depends on the market, of course, and the property. Just know that that has to be completed, must be a definitive date. From past existing agency, we used to have to check a box to say when it expired, that sort of thing. Now it's just that the property is currently listed for sale exclusively with another firm. The listing agreement expires on, and you put the date. This agreement becomes effective immediately when the current listing agreement ends. So if it's currently listed, again, remember, we can go ahead and have a listing agreement signed so that, and you can be doing your measurements, your photography, all of that kind of stuff while it's still active with the other. And then as soon as that terminates, then you can go in and immediately, that way the seller doesn't lose any marketing time.
Now, if they decide they want to take a week between.
Then
you-
you're gonna take care of it on your marketing
Okay.
day. Yeah, yeah, once we get to that. Property, identify the property. All of this information is available to you. I will say, don't be lazy. It's all on the tax card. It's all on all of the information that we're asking you, that we require you to pull. Now, I know some of it's not gonna be there, yet everything has the street address, the city, the zip, the county, maybe not lot and block. If it's not in a subdivision, obviously, maybe or maybe not a plat book. They all have a PIN. Other description, that's that little part that's in the middle box that will say, you know, it might say LT 1-3 Macintosh at the lake, whatever. That's the legal description. So that would be other description. And then everything has a deed book and page.
Oh, shit.
It does.
Well, so Daniel just had one where he closed on a brand new townhome.
Yes,
He did not have.
it does. It does have a deed. Yes,
He has one,
yes.
but they created it at the time of closing, right?
Nope. No,
But they
this
couldn't
is the
find it.
deed book of the current owner. So the current deed of who owns the property right now. New construction.
Well, this is.
D.R. Horton has a D.R.
It showed
Horton.
the whole. it
That's fine.
The whole.
That, and it will, new construction will do that until they are platted out separately,
Yeah.
especially when it's a brand new subdivision. but there's a deed out there that says D.R. Horton owns this parcel of land.
Okay,
Because D.R. Horton, we need to know that D.R. Horton can deed it to the
Yeah,
buyer.
and it had, and that's what he used, I believe. But it didn't have a specific deed for that
It's
unit.
not going, in new construction, and
Until-
some of this development, it's not going to. Same thing with the tax card.
Right.
A lot of times the tax card is gonna be the entire 30-acre parcel or whatever. That's okay.
So we're using that.
We are using that.
Okay.
Yes, yes. There is always a deed.
No matter how old the house is,
True.
That's
Or
right,
property
yeah.
Or whatever.
150, 100 years old.
Yeah.
And some of those handwritten deeds are fun to look at,
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Mm.
Yeah, they get real fun whenever it goes through title search. Okay, and then, so deed book and page, there always is one, additional parcels. And, so if there are any additional parcels, attach what the, additional parcel is, to it. Fixtures. Just a reminder that it's redundant for us to rename anything that's in this entire section. So a lot of times, like I will see range or dishwasher. It's redundant to do that. I mean, I get it. I like that you're trying to be thorough, yet it's covered. So thinking about anything that's not on this list. So most commonly, washer, dryer, refrigerator. And will you please just do me a favor and spell refrigerator? Please don't put fridge.
Sometimes you run out of space.
No, Jim,
I
No.
remember,
You could make the font smaller.
You run out of space, and it's 2 lines worth.
let's just
what
remember,
Sam was saying that you should put the brand of the
of
refrigerator.
course, yes,
You should put it all,
yeah, yeah.
and the brand of the
The
washer
the
dryer.
serial number, if, you know, if you're able to, or, you know, take a picture of it, whatever the case. Yeah, if you're on the buyer side, yeah, absolutely.
Especially when you see a really nice one inside, and then in the garage, you've got the really old one.
Yeah, and somehow that crappy one from the
Yep.
garage ends up in the
Ends
kitchen,
up,
yeah. Yes, yes. So this is just a reminder, when, on the listing side, when we are having the conversation with our seller to say, hey, just a reminder, all of this stuff remains. If there's something that you don't want to remain, then let's talk
Now's
about
the
it
time.
let's talk about it in the next section. Where we get to excluded items. Reminder, they must unpair any devices upon closing. You know, some vehicles have that little button built in to the, where you just hit the button and your garage door opens. Well, you know, if you only moved like around, like down the block or something, and you're driving by and you're like, oh, let me go ahead and open my garage door, and then your old house garage door opens, and then, you know, if somebody steals all their stuff, yeah, that's why we, unpair and delete data. Any items that, are leased are not owned, again, this is satellite dishes, appliances, solar panels, any alarm systems, all of that, that will not, convey. And again, we're asking here, particularly solar panels, how much money is owed on them? Because that has to be paid off at time of closing or absorbed by the buyer.
I had a prior client call me and say, so I understand that if I put these solar panels on my house, and I was to sell it, that they will take care of it. That's what the guy at the solar panel. I said, no, they don't. He goes, what do you mean? I said, no, they have to be paid off.
It can be negotiated, but if there's $60,000 owed, then I'm paying $60,000 less for the house.
Except, doesn't the new buyer still have to qualify to be able to do that?
So typically that, it's transferable. The lease the solar panel lease is transferable.
Yes, but what about their mortgage? What if their mortgage says, oh, they can't handle paying something like that and get a mortgage?
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be, yeah,
I mean, it's gotta be disclosed and
Yeah.
everything.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The other thing is, appliances. You know, sometimes we run into these situations where, oh yeah, I'm leaving that washer and dryer, except they still owe Rent-A-Center for the washer and dryer. So, you know, when we're asking those questions, we are determining, are they leased or are they owned? We don't want to make any assumptions. Because again, those things have to be paid off at time of closing. This does not include fuel tanks. We'll get to that later. Excluded items. So excluded items are any of those things that were on that list that the seller says, no, this does not convey. And again, when we're having these conversations, it's and from my perspective, it's a best practice to say, if it's not staying, go ahead and move it now. Get the
Out of
chandelier.
sight, out of mind.
Yes, get the chandelier down, replace it with a like kind, not a $49 special at Lowe's when this was, you know, a $3,000 chandelier. If you love your mailbox for some reason, go ahead and take that mailbox out and put another one in. Whatever it is, let's go ahead and get it out. So, because sure enough, that buyer's gonna want it, and then it's gonna become a point of
What
negotiation.
happens if it's in the MLS, a nice chandelier, and then they've taken the nice one out and put in a cheap one, like when they go tour the home?
So if you're saying if the picture
Yeah.
shows a nice chandelier, yeah, I mean, so pictures can show a whole lot of things. There's virtual staging. It can show that it has furniture in it, but when you actually go there, there's no furniture in it. It is, view at time of offer.
Okay,
So whatever is
in
in,
the house.
at time of
Not
offer.
the Photo.
Yes,
Yeah.
not the photo. I've even seen where people have used, photos from the previous time it was listed because the furniture looked better than the current sellers, yeah. And then any personal property. So again, personal property, this would be refrigerator, washer, dryer, patio set, swing, any of those, things.
That's where I'm putting landscaping too, like if they have a special tree, a memory tree or something like that.
Is excluded,
Excluded.
absolutely,
Or
yes,
excluded, yeah.
yes. Yes, because there could be,
Flowers.
yeah, I mean, there could be bushes that are sentimental that, yeah, I mean, like you said, Kathy, a memory tree or,
What about the Generacs? Are they attached?
yes, yes.
I got an email from you. Was that supposed to be to me?
I guess if you stated up front, you're taking that.
Right.
Then
Right,
it could
but-
become
It would go
unattached.
under, excluded items, yes,
I just didn't know if it was attached or not, or
It
if it's
is.
in the other. Okay.
Yeah, yep,
I
it
was
is.
just thinking about that. That just kind of coming.
yes. Listing price, again, must be a definitive amount. It cannot be TBD. So if you are filling out part of your paperwork before you go to the listing appointment and you maybe you're gonna have to have a conversation of reality with them on really what should this be listed at, leave it blank until you get there. Don't put in TBD. Can't be TBD. It has to be a definitive number. And then also what are the financing terms? Let's go ahead and have a conversation about it. About what are you willing to accept? Cash, everybody wants cash.
Sorry, I'm
That's
behind.
okay. No.
Okay, so if you have filled out most of the stuff and like got loop, DocuSign, blah, 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 whatever, and it's typed up and then you leave that blank, is it best so someone who's like a wet signature kind of person, is it best practice if you write that in to have them initial that also? Okay.
Yes.
Just so it doesn't look
Yeah.
contrary to what everything else
Yes.
says, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything that's handwritten in after it's typed up?
Just have them initial as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody likes cash. Most people like conventional. FHA, is the property FHA financeable? Don't check it if it's not. It's gonna be the same with VA and same thing with USDA. If it's not in a USDA authorized area, then don't check USDA. Loan assumption. You may start seeing some loan assumptions. I think we have one right now, actually. Seller financing, there is a seller financing addendum. However, if the seller chooses to do seller financing, we recommend that they contact an attorney. Because the seller financing addendum is so very vague that it does not really cover, I mean, it doesn't really protect the seller of, well, what happens in this case? And what happens in this case? And, you know, so many different things with seller financing that it could be a balloon. It doesn't give it doesn't create an amortization schedule, all of those things that we would recommend. So everything that applies on what the seller is willing to accept. Again, don't check FHA if it's not FHA or VA financeable. Marketing. This is the one I get a lot where they get returned. When I'm doing compliance, where files get returned. Because some people forget to put the date in there. So this is, when will we start marketing the property? So it has to have a date in there. And then seller needs to initial at public marketing if it's not office exclusive. So public marketing gets initialed. This says, the seller says, yes, you can start marketing my property on this date. Now, if we do a coming soon, what's the marketing date? People sometimes
The
get
coming
confused.
soon date.
You got it, exactly. Yes, because when we're marketing as coming soon, is it not being marketed? Yes, it's on all the aggregate sites. It's in MLS. You've got a sign in the yard that says coming soon. You're posting it on all of your social, whatever else, that's marketing. And then we just put, what day is it actually going to change to active in the MLS? And that's all covered in your coming soon addendums that are required if it's a coming soon. The only change here is that general advertising. So we used to have this Form 105 used to be internet advertising addendum. That has gone away. We don't have that anymore. You know, that was like when the internet was first invented. And now it's like, if you don't put it on, everything goes on the internet, whether it's the dark web or the, you know, one that, the good one that we use, one or the other. So all this is saying, this is just a little protection factor for us. It says a firm may not be able to limit automated valuations, distribution, or commentary concerning the property. So this is like where your seller calls and says, well, this person, it wrote this about my property. You need to take it down. Well, it's out of our control. I mean, that's not something that, you know, that we can control. thanks for letting us know. Yeah, you know, because sometimes like a seller might call and be like, oh my, why is my house on Craigslist? So that is one where then you go to Craigslist and you report it and it gets taken down from Craigslist. I had one of my foreclosure properties that ended up on Craigslist and I kept getting all these phone calls and they were like, hey, I want to come look at the house. How much is the rent again? I'm like, no, it's not for rent. It's for sale. Well, I saw it on Craigslist and I called this guy and he gave me all the information of where I needed to send my deposit and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, sorry to tell you that,
Did you get sent?
yeah, I'm sorry to tell you that is, so, it's just a protection factor for us that says, hey, we can't control where everything goes. Office exclusive. So occasionally we will have an office exclusive. And when might we run into an office exclusive?
When your seller don't cooperate.
That could be, yes, if
If
you're,
your agent is buying something as personal property and they're also in the same.
so let's say that, Jim has this great listing that's coming up in Julian, and it's a beautiful house. Absolutely beautiful. And I hear Jim talking about it with the seller, or maybe he's talking about it with, I don't know, whoever. And so I walk down the hall and I say, hey, Jim, you got something in Julian? So I'm working with one of these condo people and this might be something exactly like what they're looking for.
Whatever.
Whatever. It's on the back 40. Honda's on the, Honda's on the back 40 over there and, and so he was like, oh, well, yeah, here, you know, he can tell me about it because we're in the same firm, right? So it's okay. He can't go out and have lunch with, who's your favorite agent outside of, you don't have any favorite agent. He can't go out and have lunch with Amber Harvalis and be like, oh, Amber, let me tell you about this listing coming up. I just picked something, Jim. I just picked something.
Leave somebody else's house.
And so he can't tell her about it, but he can tell me about it because he has a listing agreement and the listing agreement is with the firm and I'm part of the firm. So, but it hasn't gone active yet. So he's got his listing agreement signed, but they've got a marketing date that is TBD, or not TBD, but not active yet.
Yeah.
And so office exclusive would then be, I would be like, well, hey, can I take my buyers to look at it? And if they like it, then it doesn't have to go on the market. Jim didn't have to measure it. He didn't have to take pics, you know, whatever the case may be. Sometimes, I mean, he might have already been at that point. So that's office exclusive. That would be a situation where it would be office exclusive. There's no marketing for it whatsoever. Does not go into MLS. There is no sign in the yard. There is no Facebook post. Nothing. No marketing whatsoever. Now, you can put it on the private Keller Williams Facebook page because we're all in the same office. So technically, it's all of our listings. Jim's the only one that's going to get paid on it, but technically, it's all of our listing because the listing agreement's with the firm.
No, okay, so in that situation, you buy that from Jim, and then Jim, after everything has closed, Jim can then put out into the universe, closed on this, whatever, so he can advertise that he had sold the
After
house
it has
after
closed.
it is closed.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. You can also go into MLS and enter it as for comp purposes only.
Okay.
Karen, what's a like actual situation where this gets used? I've always like, right,
Well,
what was it? Oh, was it like somebody like famous or dead people or weird?
No, I had one out, well, at the country club, and they didn't want a sign in the yard, and they did not want it marketed, they just wanted me to
I
give it
see.
word of mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you have to be careful with that. And that's where you have to have the conversation is that I get it that you want me to sell it. I can only talk about it to people that are in my office.
so I couldn't go out and talk to somebody that I think might be interested
That's
in.
office, right? Like I couldn't tell my neighbor,
That's
hey,
correct.
there's this great house.
That's correct.
But
Yes,
could I tell somebody that I think might be interested in it?
Yes.
yes, you
Okay.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's within your
that's what I
sphere of influence, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What you can't do is you can't go and tell Amber
Yeah,
about it and see if Amber has a buyer.
Yeah.
For it. Another situation where it
Can I
might
ask
be
a
office
question?
exclusive is, well, obviously you understand in your situation, where it is, okay, these folks want to sell their house and they're talking about selling it, whatever else. The neighbor comes over to have a beer and they're like, yeah, we're gonna put our house on the market. Oh my God, my son would love to buy it. So that might be another situation where it would be an office exclusive. They still get the representation. But it's, just, it doesn't go on the market. So that, some people would call that a pocket listing. It's not a pocket listing because it's office exclusive.
Can I ask a question?
There's a way to market office exclusive in MLS.
No,
It was.
no,
I've seen them checked that way.
there's no marketing with office exclusive. It does not go into MLS.
what happens?
So what's an exclusive list?
Okay, so, yes, that's somebody checking the boxes, they don't know what they're checking, they don't understand what they're checking.
But that to me is an office
It is,
exclusive, not, because it doesn't say office, it says.
Exclusive,
exclusive list.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Right.
so suppose that neighbor's son had an agent that wasn't at Keller Williams.
Actually,
Yeah.
it just.
What would you have to do then? Would
Gotta
you
be
have to-
public.
So you have to go put it in the MLS.
But you could mark it as pending day of, right?
Yeah.
So like you do them concurrent.
Mhm.
Now, yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. You would have to change your office exclusive to, you would have to use agency agreement and renewal form
Yeah.
to change from office exclusive to, public.
Now, is there, like, in that situation, is there like a time, like if you change something in active, but you already have a buyer, right? So if you change it to active, is there like gotta wait an hour, 12 hours, 24 hours before you can mark it as pending, or you like just put it?
But
as
you would have to
pending?
put the whole 9 yards in there, all of the
Oh,
pictures
yeah.
and everything,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So you
not
can't,
just one picture. You know, not just one photo.
You can. That's all that's required.
Oh, so you could just do the
Just
one.
one, yeah.
Okay.
so you can't advertise it anywhere.
Not on.
You can't put it on Facebook, you can't put it anywhere.
No, nowhere.
I just had that situation and that's what I was told,
So,
you can't do it.
nowhere.
And then
Except
I would
the
question,
KW.
why would they wanna do that, you know,
Yeah, I mean, you can run around the office and tell everybody you want to. You can put it on the Keller Williams private Facebook page, but you can only market it within the office.
Could you
What about
do a
cabinets?
broker open? Sorry.
I'm
The
sorry.
sleeves on the cabinet doors, can you put it there, like a flyer?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Within the office.
Yeah, within the office. For
You
sure.
could do like a KW exclusive brokers open.
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
and it can't be KW1 either, it has to be.
It's KW Central, yes. And keep,
But you're gonna get that fixed, where it's giving us KW1. That we're all in KW1 on the triangle. If I go into command. If I go into my website. There's two listings, one for the triad, one for the triangle. The triangle one says that we're with KW1, and the other one shows KW.
that's probably out of my department as well. That might be a Daniel
or help us.
or a help
I
desk.
already told Daniel, he said that was out of his department.
Oh, okay, well, help them. Keep in mind, KW Central is, all of our, Hillsborough and Mebane friends as well. So we are all under, everybody's under me. So, even though there's different, that's a separate firm number, they're all licensed under me. So that's all.
Share it with the other offices.
Well, when you put it on the Keller Williams private Facebook page, they're on all of that, they're on that too. But yeah, I mean, if you wanted to drive to our new beautiful Hillsborough office and, you know, post something up there, absolutely, you can do that. Yeah. All right, where was I? Okay, marketing risk, again, surveillance devices, disable all audio devices, it's fine to look, but you can't listen. So just a reminder to our seller, don't forget to turn that baby monitor off when we have showings, that sort of thing.
What if you find out they have been listening?
Serious conversation.
They can be sued.
Hopefully you're the one that finds out and the buyer's agent's not the one.
Correct, yes, yes. Yeah, I mean, they could be sued. All right, this is where we get paid. Again, this is just in bold. Seller understands that the amount, format, or rate of compensation is not fixed by law, but is set by each broker or firm individually and is fully negotiable. So firm's fee. This is what the seller is going to pay the firm. Because you don't get paid as an individual. Keller Williams gets paid and then Keller Williams pays you, right? So the attorney's not writing a check to Kathy Penter. Attorney's writing a check to Keller Williams Central, and then Keller Williams Central's writing a check or direct deposit to Kathy Penter. So this is what the firm's fee would be. Now, technically, this is also what your compensation is as well. It's just being paid to the firm. So if it's 3.5% on the list side, then it's 3.5% of the property's gross sales price. Non-refundable retainer, if that's in your business model and that's how you do your business, then you would put that amount in. And then, of course, it is credited towards the firm's fee at closing. Used to be, the reason it's highlighted is that it used to be negotiable. Like it either is, or it would say is or is not credited towards the firm's fee at closing. Now they're saying it is. So typically it's going to be this, the second box that we're checking and putting the percentage in there. Occasionally we may have a flat fee. If it's a very low priced property, let's say it's a $30,000 lot, and instead of giving you 3%, they're like, I'm gonna give you $1,000. That sort of thing too, or 1,500, whatever the case may be. If it's a flat fee, or, sometimes we have, if we have a relationship with, a person that does a lot of business with us. Maybe it's a builder, maybe it's an investor that, buys 20 to 30 homes or sells 20 to 30 homes per year. You may have an agreement with them that says, all right, I'm going to do all of them for a flat fee of $3,000 across the board. So that's where a flat fee would come in. And then other fee, make sure you specify. So this would be, some agents, $75 transaction fee. Make sure that you spell it out, that it's a $75 KW transaction fee. Some agents and teams do $395 transaction fee, where they charge a transaction fee to the client. whether it's on the buy side or whether it's on the list side. There's, a 3.9, whatever the number is. Just make sure you put that in there. This would be in addition to, so more than one of these boxes can be used.
We wouldn't use it for the $75.
If you choose to pass that on to your client, you can. I see some agents that do it.
Kind of cheap with it.
Well, I see some agents that do it. This yellow one right here that they added, you will never check that box.
What is it? Just for my curiosity.
Firm fee schedule attached. We do not have a firm fee schedule.
Got it.
So you will never check
You
that
may
box.
as an agent. You may have that selection or that, what do they call it, where you get the different levels of service and you charge more or less for more or less service.
Okay.
You may have your own, but
No.
the firm doesn't have one.
No, you would never check that box.
Right,
In that case,
Oh,
So
got
even
it.
if you have a
You have
tiered-
your own, but.
yeah,
Right.
if you have a
Right.
tiered, it is, okay, for 5%, this is what you get. For 6%, this is what you get. For 7%, this is what you get, whatever the case may be. You're still identifying, because they're picking
Right.
at the time of the listing, which flavor they're getting.
right. It wouldn't necessarily be the 5, 6, or 7, right? Because that's what our firm would keep. And then the next section talks about what we share or could possibly share. So if they do, well, let me hold that question. You go ahead.
So let's say, and I may get there, let's say that they choose the 6% level, okay? 3.5% for the listing, and then we'll get to the cooperative compensation of where that goes. Yes, so yes, so total, bottom line, never check the bottom box.
Gotcha.
All right, now we're going to talk about how we are going to compensate other agents. Just a reminder, seller has no duty to offer compensation to an agent working with a buyer. Firm has provided the seller with the firm's best advice on the advantages and disadvantages of offering or not offering cooperative compensation. And seller does or does not agree to offer cooperative compensation. We would like for them to offer, again, we've advised them, and we would like for them to offer cooperating compensation. If the seller does agree, then we're going to check one of these boxes. Our firm's policy is that the firm collects all of the money and the firm pays the co-broke out. So you would check the first box. And it would be 2.5%. On a 6%, 3.5 on the list side, 2.5, whatever the numbers are, this is what the buyer agent is gonna get paid.
Just for clarity, what you just said. We would collect the whole 6%. The attorney should. That's what they've agreed to for a total. We collect the whole and then we pay the buyer's agent's firm.
Yes, so this is where it becomes a, one of those accounting things where it's just on paper.
Okay, so on the closing statement,
Yeah.
it's gonna show that it's being paid to Keller Williams, but the firm is gonna actually, the attorney is gonna actually pay that other firm.
That's correct. Yes.
I just wanna make sure
Yeah.
that hadn't,
What
Yeah.
about-
first thing you said, it sounded different.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, because that's the old school way that it used to be done. It used to, the entire check used to come in to the listing firm. And then the listing firm had to then pay the buyer agent. Now the attorneys just take care of it all on paper for us.
What about referral fees? Referral fees.
Okay,
That's handled in.
Can you identify them anywhere? It comes back to the firm. Is it supposed to be identified anywhere that?
no, because there's a separate referral agreement for any referrals, whether it's outgoing or whether it's incoming. Yeah, so if it's a 25% referral fee that you're paying out, then you have a referral agreement that Bailey has loaded into Command. So when Josh processes the check, he knows to pay that referral fee out. So all the money still comes into Keller Williams, and then referral fees are paid out from there. We never check this box. Same reason, we don't have a firm attached policy. So the second box is, this is where if we were EXP, we would be checking the second box because the seller's gonna pay it directly. Whatever the percentage amount or flat fee or whatever the case may be. We all know that the seller's paying it all anyway. It really is just a, what the agreement is. So from our firm, we would like for you to check the top box.
What is the advantage of the second box? Or what is, I don't quite understand the second that seller may offer.
So if the seller wanted to negotiate, so technically they could put seller may offer 1 to 2%. So if the seller wanted to negotiate the compensation at the time of offer, like a lot of EXP, you know, they don't send you the form 220. They say, send us your offer. And you send the form 220 of what you're asking for. And so that's where the seller can negotiate it and say, oh, well, if at this price, I'll pay you X amount of compensation.
So if a firm was to call us and we had the second box and it was 2.5%, and another firm outside of Cowick called and said, so how much is what's cooperating compensation? The seller may offer, do we tell them that amount?
Yes.
So the seller may offer 2.5%, but it depends on your offer.
Yeah.
Is that bad business or?
I mean, from my standpoint, I just like transparency. I just like, tell me what you're gonna pay me.
Right.
And it is what it is. You know, because from there, if it's, you know, now it just gets ugly and sticky from there. Because now I gotta have a conversation with my buyer.
Yeah.
Well, they don't really know what they're gonna pay me, so.
When it gets adversarial between then you and the other agent, like every time I've shown something that's an EXP and a call, they're like, we don't have a form 220, but we're prepared to sign one
It depends on
depending
the
on your
offer.
offer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Then
always good.
I
Yeah.
had one that we, on the seller side, we were, 2.5, and then they come in and they want 3, and then and I'm like, that's fine, your buyer can pay, and they're never gonna ask their buyer to pay that difference, but I'm like, you can.
Some people do.
Some people do, and
Yeah.
that's fine, but that's not.
But that's where, from my standpoint, then it becomes, I have to get into a conversation with my buyer at that point. Because I have to say to my buyer, okay, this is what we're gonna offer. And I'm gonna send the form 220 with the 3% that was in our buyer agency agreement that we agreed that I was gonna get paid. So what happens if they aren't willing to pay the 3%? Do you still want to make the same offer? Does the offer change? You know, then it just becomes I just like the transparency of, just tell me what it is. If you tell me up front that it's 1%, then great. I can have the conversation with my buyer at that point to say, I know we said 3 in there, but I really need to make 2.5. Are you willing to pay the 1.5? You know, that sort of thing. So that's,
I think the worst thing about the EXP listing is you don't know what their agreement says, because they don't tell you.
Right, they were.
Yeah.
They won't say, well, they may pay up to whatever amount,
100%.
which if I had that situation, that's the way I would disclose it. Look, they said they pay up to this amount, but it depends on what your offer
And I've
comes
never
in.
had them say.
But they don't say
no,
that. They
want
just
that.
say, send the 220 with your offer and the
Correct.
rest.
So you're going and showing $1 million piece of property and you've got a 2% with your buyer agent or 3% with your buyer agent, and you don't have any clue
Yeah.
as to how much.
Right. It could be the whole 3% that the buyer's got to pay,
Right.
depending on
Yep.
the offer.
It
Because
could
if you
be.
go in at 900 because your comps don't comp it out at $1 million, I mean, hold on, there, issue, no, but, yeah, it's crazy.
Well, then it gets into the
Well, I don't
issue,
handle
like I
that
had
situation
one
well,
with a family member and it was in multiple offers and I knew we weren't gonna get it at even 2.5%. So then, because it was a family member, I reduced mine, but I put that into, you know what I mean? So it gets real hairy because if it's not someone that you're willing to reduce your commission for and you're in multiple offer, then that's a huge piece of the offer, you know, right there.
Yeah.
Have they had the town hall about that yet?
About, compensation.
Or
So,
it being a part of the offer?
well, no, it'll never be a part of the offer. I mean, it always has to be in a separate, so the MLSs are discussing, advertising of compensation again. Because of the last, settlement that came, with the NAR settlement, the last piece of it, and so they gave, MLSs until September to determine how they want to disseminate, information.
Sorry, while I was taking up to the phone call, I got something the other day from the real estate commission that said that they were gonna have some type of town hall meeting about, and the way that I read it, it looked like they were gonna make basically the compensation be part of the offer or not excluded from the offer.
Didn't see that. That's interesting.
Yeah, because we're not a party
To the contract.
to the contract. So, it may be, we may be talking about the same thing.
Yeah. This was just the way that I read it. It was gonna eliminate the compensation not being able to be a term of the offer.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I read through it and that was the best I could.
You
figure out.
still have it, will you forward it to me? Yeah. Cause I'll definitely check into it. Total costs, again, protection periods, remember your protection period is only good if the seller does not list with someone else. And you must also notify. My friend Margaret right here put a protection period in. Her listing agreement expired. They were negotiating an offer with a buyer. She put in writing to her seller, if this buyer purchases this property, you still owe me compensation because the seller went for sale by owner. Because not only could Margaret not work with her, she couldn't work with anybody. She was so bad. So that's the reason that it's there. Now, had she have gone and listed with someone else, that protection period would have gone away. But just remember, it's a two-step process. We gotta put an amount, a number of days in here. Doesn't matter to me what those numbers are, what that number is. And within 15 days, you have to notify the seller in writing of potential buyers that would fall under that protection period.
And because I had never, ever experienced that before, I had in my contract 45 days. I have now changed that to 90 days. Just FYI.
Yep.
Because all they have to do is wait till the 46th day.
Yeah.
And that's only, month and a half.
Yeah. Yes.
And so I'm probably gonna get screwed anyway, so that is okay.
You're gonna do what?
I said, I'm probably gonna get screwed either way.
For 6 months.
2 years.
Yeah, again, reasonable amount of time. But yeah, I mean, 120 is not an unreasonable number. transfer of interest in a business entity. So this is a new section that they have added on here. This essentially just says that whatever portion that the entity that we represent owns the property, our firm fee is prorated to that percent as well. So in other words, we can't charge the rest of the people just for this person's piece of the pie. So if they're 50-50, then they're only selling their 50%. Our firm compensation is only based on the 50% that they can sell. Everything else is about the same as always. Here is a change. I am gonna stop at dual agency because I always do. So firm may act as a dual agent in a transaction involving seller. We always want the seller. We always want to advise the seller to initial to allow the firm to act as a dual agent. If they don't, then they are letting 164 people not have access to their property to show their property. So always want to them to authorize the firm to act as a dual agent. The only thing that they changed here is that they flipped these two so that they are the same on the listing agreement as they are on the buyer agency agreement. So before, one was here, and as we do, it's like, oh, yeah, we always check this box, and then so it got confusing with it being, seller does authorize the same agent to represent, seller does not. And the third one, seller does not authorize the same agent to represent both a buyer and a seller in dual agency and directs the firm to practice designated dual agent. So they either, I can't think of a time where they would initial the middle line. Okay, so they either do authorize the same agent to act as a dual agent. If you practice same agent dual agency, some agents do, some agents do not. If you do, then they could initial at the top one. The second one doesn't really say anything to me. The third one says the same thing that this one says, and then it says what's going to happen next. So if they don't authorize the same agent to act as a dual agent, so same agent, dual agent, then we're automatically going to go into designated dual.
Well, it's like the middle one shouldn't even be there. I mean.
I
what
agree.
do we do anyway?
I agree. Me and you, Kathy, I'm gonna tell you what, we're gonna get on this forums committee and we are going, by the time we're done, we're gonna have about a 3-page on everything. Get rid of some of the stuff that A, doesn't make any sense, and B, shouldn't be there to start off with.
Normally you should just check out the third box.
The third one,
Yeah.
yeah. If you do not
Yeah,
practice,
Don't do dual.
yeah, if you do not practice same agent dual agency, which I do not, so they would always initial the third one for me. The other change, number 16 on page 6, all they did was clarify this. This was the change that happened on January 1, and my phone blew up. My seller is not going to pay for any inspections. It wasn't worded very well. That's not what it said, but they clarified the language in here just to say, if the seller orders or directs the firm to order inspections or other professional services as part of selling the property, seller and not firm must pay for all such inspection costs and other professional services unless otherwise agreed. Buyer incurred inspection costs are not addressed in this section and may be negotiated later as part of a purchase contract. So that's where the confusion was coming, that now all of a sudden the seller was gonna be paying for all the buyer inspections. No, the seller, this is a protection for us as agents and as the firm, that if the seller orders something, or the seller says, yeah, have that guy go ahead and come over and pressure wash the house. Well, again, we want a PSD for that. And this is also saying, okay, I'm happy to order it, but you're paying for it. It's not on my dime. Now, sometimes, particularly with like, measurements and professional photography, in the additional, provisions, the agent, I've seen where agents will spell out, agent will pay for professional photography and measurements, that sort of thing. So,
Now, just something everybody needs to know, remember, is that if you call in, and I'll make up something, a termite report, that termite company has your name on that order form.
yes.
And so if the seller don't pay, then the vendor will come back to you. And so that paragraph is not really well written.
Yeah.
Because I would never order, particularly surveys. We've had that happen where.
Oh, if I get it in, I'm fine with ordering it, as long as I get it in writing. So if that seller emails me and says, yes, have Boswell go out and do a survey, this is on the listing side, not on the buy side. And says, yes, we talked about it, let's go ahead and have Boswell come out and do a survey, and I've got an email that says that, then that's fine. I'm putting it on my
I don't do it either way.
professional
I
services
send
disclosure.
them Boswell's number and say you call an order.
Yeah, either way. Yep, I mean, it certainly can be done.
Of course, we go back to the guy.
Well, I think that's key, Karen, that what you just said is that if you have a seller that's looking at having some of those services done or wanting them done, then you put on that professional services disclosure that they are the ones requesting that service.
Yeah.
And will be paying for it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still telling.
Because
you
I
what's
know that
I'm telling
some
you
of
what's
us
gonna happen.
agents are trying to get away of having to do that for our sellers when they're not having any services done.
You see, but that vendor will come back and say, hey, the seller never talked to me, you did.
We're 5 minutes over I'll make sure that, next time we do, vacant land first. But real quick, I just wanted to, make you aware, let you know, the, seller estimated net sheet has been, significantly updated and, for a positive. So it actually lists things on here that, that might actually happen in a real estate transaction. And they've got it broken down into pre-marketing expenses. Okay, the seller agreed to have an appraisal. Well, we know it's gonna cost this. Any inspections, any repairs or anything that's done, pre-marketing. And then, you've got your mortgage and any other liens, payoffs on here. And then you've got your attorney fees, compensation, seller paid concessions, home warranty, all of those things that, are actually, in my opinion, spelled out much better now. It also even tells you how to calculate revenue stamps. As a bonus.
Just buy and sell price like 500.
Well, I mean, you're an overachiever, not everybody is.
I'm
But
not trying-
it auto populates when you fill one
Yeah.
of these out.
Yeah, yeah. So again, just a lot more, information that's in there now that, that makes a little more sense. Any questions?
When do these go in effect?
Well, that.
They
covers-
are,
This
Right now?
correct.
estimated net covers a little bit of what Carrie was saying too. The buyer, that seller says, hey, you know, what if I need to get it surveyed?
Yeah.
And that would be a good time, that'd be a good place to put that.
Yep, yep, absolutely. I like using the SellerNet sheet, at time of listing, because then I'm setting the expectation. You know, there's no surprises, especially if I think that they are overpriced. Then, okay, well, this is what it looks like if we sell here. And, you know, that sort of thing. And when when you put those numbers in front of them, sometimes they get less greedy. It's like, oh, well, hold on. I am still making $200,000. I guess that $10,000 is not really that big of a difference, you know, in all perspective.
So just so I know everybody was like, when I said that, they were like, what? There's a notice of rulemaking that they're going to have a public hearing on the 14th of August at 9 a.m. for a proposed effective date of 11/1, and the explanation is to amend the rule to remove the provision in paragraph B1 that prohibits the payment of a commission or compensation in a pre-printed offer or sales contract.
So they're gonna remove that provision.
It's a negative.
It's a
like
double negative.
double negative.
It's a double-
I think what they're saying is, right now, as the rule is written, at 58A0112.
Yeah, it's a real estate commission.
As it's written right now, we can't use pre-printed forms unless they meet all of these conditions, and one of them is you can't have
Right.
compensation in there. They're
Right.
talking about removing that from there. So
Okay, yeah, so I just know EXP will just draft their own contracts. Yeah, I mean. It's kind of getting wild west there. I mean, that's going to like South Carolina. South Carolina, I mean, they can use their,
So it would become a term of the contract, the compensation would become a term of the contract, potentially.
if the seller's willing, if either party's willing to sign it. You know, from my perspective, it's just like one of those, it's like one of those offers that you get from, you know, somebody trying to buy wholesale. And it says, oh, and you're gonna allow us to market the property and maybe even sell the property before we actually pay you and close on it. You know, I think it's gonna be a conversation of, you know, so I've had those people bring it to me and they're like, and we'll deposit the earnest money within 10 days. I'm like, hell to the no, you won't. We will follow the rules of North Carolina. And if you want to, well, they figured out they were dealing with a licensed real estate agent. You know, they just thought I was a seller, you know, just own some property and here, throw this offer out. And then, so, I mean, then I think it comes down to, I don't know, I may put it on my calendar to try to attend the town hall and say all the reasons why we shouldn't.
Well, I figured if anything, maybe they're just trying to get rid of 220, because if you have to have 220 and the stipulation is not in the contract, there's not really much of a difference other than if everybody knows and it's on the contract, they just remove that rule and basically 220 is built into the contract.
You never had 220 before last year, so fine.
Because we
That
were,
was because it was in the MLS.
that's right, we were able to advertise it in MLS. And that may be in conjunction with what is coming down with the MLSs, because the MLSs have, I think, until September the 15th. So it could be in conjunction with the changes that may be, being,
Shared.
yeah.
Yeah, that was, that. they
Like,
said
it
that-
may just go all the way back to, we're just gonna put it in MLS.
They sent that,
Compensation,
Yeah.
yeah.
they sent it on,
And then you sell it on
the MC read.
Mhm.
What
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, the way I read it, I was like her at first, I'm like, this looks like a negative of a net.
Of a negative, yeah, yes, yes. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, that was great.
Next week will be, buyer forms and changes that are in buyer forms. 1
At
o'clock,
what time?
1 o'clock. No, that's for whenever I do,
go, in the next school air conditioning. 5 whole pounds of that.
Well,
That's when I do the OTP.
Bring it. I didn't come here.
As soon as